Okay, in genetics, there are certain terms that you need to know. In genetics, there are certain terms you need to know. The common terms that you use in genetics include, the first one is gene. What is a gene? Okay, gene is part of a DNA that carries genetic information from parent to offspring, from parent to offspring. That's what a gene is. They ask you to define what a gene is. They can also ask you to define that was a gene. They can ask you to define a chromosome. Chromosome. What is a chromosome? Chromosome. A chromosome is a thread-like structure. A chromosome is a thread. Once you don't put this term thread-like, it means it will be wrong. So a chromosome is a thread-like structure of a DNA. Okay? That carries genetic information. The thread-like structure of the DNA that carries genetic information from parent to offspring. Okay? So I repeat, whenever they ask you to define what a chromosome is, always put this is a thread-like structure. A chromosome is simply the thread-like structure part of the DNA. Thread-like, this. Thread-like structure. That's how you define it. So you should be writing these things in your book. There is what you call an allele. 3. What is an allele? An allele is an alternative form of gene. An alternative form of a gene. Okay? If I say an allele, I mean a gene. So it's the same thing. So it's an alternative form of a gene. Okay? There are certain names like dominant. What does it mean, dominant? What does dominant mean? Dominant. Dominant, it means to, it's like the word implies. Now we are dealing with genes. This is dominant. Okay? Dominant. 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 So what does dominant mean? Dominant means a gene that expresses itself than the other. A gene that expresses itself more than the other in the phenotype. 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 Okay? Phenotype. This is P. Phenotype. And the dominant genes are represented by capital letters. You see? They are represented by capital letters. Okay? Such as capital D, capital T, capital F, capital R. So all these, whenever you represent a gene with a capital letter, it means a dominant gene. It means it expresses itself more than the other. For example, if I have a mother who is light, I've got a father who is dark. Okay? And then suddenly they marry. And then I as a child, I'm born as a dark child. It simply means the dominant gene for color, for blackness, from my father dominated the light gene from my mother. So it means the gene from my mother could not express itself in my body. Okay, that's what a dominant gene is. It's the one that expresses itself. So the dark gene from my dad expressed itself in me. Okay, that means it's a dominant gene. It dominated my skin so that the light gene from my mother could not dominate me. That's what it means. Okay, and then what is a recessive gene? The next thing is the last thing we'll look at here is recessive. Recessive gene. Recessive gene or recessive. It means a gene. It is the gene that is suppressed. Suppressed. It's a gene that is suppressed. Suppressed. And cannot express itself in the phenotype. Cannot express itself in the phenotype. Okay? Cannot express itself in the phenotype. Represented by small letters. Represented by smaller letters. Okay, such as small t, small f, small h, small r, small b. You see, the not capital letters are small letters. So a recessive gene is a gene that cannot express itself in the phenotype. So it can never manage to express itself in the appearance, in the phenotype. Okay, like for example, let's say my mother is short, my dad is tall, and then me, I'm born as a short person. So it means the tallness gene could not express itself in my height. Instead, me, I was born as a short person. So it means the tallness gene was suppressed. That's what it means, suppressing the gene. So that's what a recessive gene is. A recessive gene, it simply means a gene that is in you but could not express itself. For example, you can be a dark person, but you have got a light gene that is recessive, meaning inside your genes there's a gene that is for lightness, but you did not come out light. It was suppressed, that gene. So a recessive gene simply means a gene that is in an organism but cannot express itself.